I'm your host, Jacqueline Freelander. Executive Director of the Children's Museum of Illinois, Ricky Parker, is usually here to share a fun craft or a game that's good for the whole family. And later today, she is going to share some activities for the little ones. But first, I wanted to learn more about her and how she got to her current career. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jacqueline.
All right, so Ricky, I want to know how you ended up as the head of the museum.
It is a really long story, but I actually grew up in Arthur, Illinois, so about 30 minutes outside of Decatur. And I went to undergrad. I got a degree in cognitive science and philosophy. Didn't really know what I wanted to do after that, so I went to law school. And I went to LSU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, met my husband there. He joined the Marine Corps, and we took off on a wild and crazy adventure, but I found my way into nonprofit work. Worked for a land conservation organization for about a decade, and then we just wanted to get a little bit closer to my family, and so started looking at different communities in central Illinois, and just fell in love with Decatur, actually. It is a really, really cool community with an amazing downtown area. We bought a house, and then everything else fell into place because I really believe that you should invest in the community that you live in. And so my skill set really matched what the museum was looking for, and I could not ask for a more joyful and amazing place to work. It's just incredible.
Well, and that's such an interesting journey because ultimately, I feel like what you do is so hands-on and fun and creative, and it's always interesting to me when people study something, but then their job is completely different from what they study. So was it something that you learned while you were in school that you kind of were like, ooh, maybe law is not for me? Or was it just a thing that you were like, oh, this is a fun knowledge to have, but not really, why not law, essentially?
You know, what's really interesting is that I still use all of the skills that I used in my legal career every day. So what I like to say about law is it makes you a really clear communicator. And so I use those skills every day when I talk with donors, I talk with families, when I communicate what we're doing on shows like this, right
here, exactly. When you come and talk to me about things.
So I use those skills every single day. I use all of the writing skills that I learned in law school and honed in law school as well. And then I just learned through my advocacy efforts in environmental work that kids are really the best advocates for change that we have. And so being able to invest in the kids in the community and to showcase how much Central Illinois has to offer and get kids and their families building that sense of pride is really what I love to do. I love to tell Decatur's story in the museum. Our exhibits are really focused on Central Illinois. They're focused on our agricultural roots. They're focused on native prairie restoration projects, so kids learn about the ecosystem that was here prior to agriculture arriving. And then we also focus on industries that we have. So we partnered with Illinois Soybean Association to build a state-of-the-art water table that showcases how soybeans make their way into international commerce using Illinois' waterway system. So I really just want families to know that whether they want to go to a four-year college like University of Illinois or Millikan, or whether they want to go get a two-year degree at a community college, or if they want to go right into the workforce, those opportunities are all available to them in Central Illinois. And so I think we have a very important role in telling that story and getting families just to build pride and know that they can build a life here.
Right. And what advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about going into museum work or education or things like that? Would you advise them to kind of follow in your footsteps and go a different law route to learn all of those communication skills, or would you recommend a more traditional path to that?
We work with folks of all different backgrounds, right? So some of my staff members are high school graduates, some of them have their associate's degree, some of them have four-year degrees, some of them have advanced degrees. And so I think that when you're looking at education in sort of what I would call a non-traditional setting, there are a lot of ways that you can get there. And so I think really just trust your gut, right? There were these very clear and defined turning points in my career where I took a leap of faith that something that felt right was going to work out for me and for my family, and it has really. And so I think my biggest advice is really just trust what your instinct is telling you is the right call to make.
I think that is great advice. That has also always served me well, so I would second that. Always go with your gut. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I love to tell the story.